What is up, everybody, and welcome to FLW Videos. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about the top 5 Psychic type attackers in Pokemon Go. And the main reason for discussing this topic centers around the move Psychic getting buffed in Pokemon Go, so much to the point where all of a sudden Pokemon that were not within the top 5 are now in the top 5, and then a few Pokemon do not have access to Psychic, so they actually slipped out of the top 5 ranking. So it's very important for us to just stay up to date related to this. And just as a bit of a refresher, I ended up covering the Psystrike versus Psychic Mewtwo situation in the Deeper Dive series. We ended up seeing Psystrike actually get updated to the point where it was just miles ahead of everything else. And then you had the issue where you've got those Psychic Mewtwo's that you had seeming like they're just irrelevant, right? Because the difference was just so drastic between Psystrike and Psychic. Made a video with Count Gensela covering that topic, and yet we end up getting an update from Niantic centered around this. Who knows? Maybe they watched my video. I highly doubt it. But they probably recognize the issue that those exclusive moves are just way too good. The gap was just too far. So now we've got Psychic being updated. So I'm going to specifically cover the Psystrike versus Psychic Mewtwo as well as the top 5. So hopefully you are excited about this video. If you are, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. These results are so interesting, but I think the best way for us to fully understand it is to take a look at what the old movesets were ranked out as far as those charge moves are concerned. So we've got Psystrike in at the number 1 spot, then we have Future Sight in at that number 2, and I think that a lot of people knew that those were like the top moves. They said, oh yeah, Future Sight is the one that you want to go for. Then of course when Psystrike got added in, it clearly is dominating the next move. And then you've got a move like Psychic. Psychic is pretty much just middle of the pack. And then if you take a look at that DPS times DPE, you're seeing Psystrike has 70, and then Psychic has 35. That is so bad in comparison. So as you can see from this list, you know why there was such an issue between having the Psychic Mewtwo versus the Psystrike Mewtwo, and the difference just being like so drastic. But yes, I know a lot of people are very interested to see what the new results are going to be for Psystrike versus Psychic, so we're going to go ahead and cover that. We ran a simulation versus Machamp, and here are the results. We do have Psystrike Mewtwo coming in at that number 1 position, and then we still have Psychic Mewtwo coming in at the number 2. But here's the cool thing about this situation. If you take a look at the time to win, the results are fairly tight compared to each other. When we run this wide open for all of the different typings, you'll see that this Confusion Psychic Mewtwo is miles ahead of the 3rd place team, if you want to look at it that way. So yes, we've got the situation, but I honestly think everyone's happy with this because number 1, Psystrike is still the best move. It's also an exclusive move. Psychic no longer has this just huge gap in performance. All of a sudden it got tightened up, so Psychic got better in Pokemon Go, and the performance is not that much. That's what we wanted in the first place. Make exclusive moves exclusive for a reason, provide some extra value, but don't make the performance so drastic that it ends up being where we throw away our old variations of our Pokemon. So I'm just so happy that Niantic decided to update this. So now let's take a look at what this update actually entails. We've got Psystrike still at that number 1 position, but Psychic jumped up from the number 5 spot all the way up to the number 2. And if you check it out, 57, that's not bad at all. Sure, it's not as good as Psystrike, but it is officially better than Future Sight. That is very important to consider because all of those old Pokemon that were good with Future Sight doesn't necessarily matter as much anymore if they have access to Psychic. Another update is that Psychic is now a 2-bar charge move, so that is something to definitely consider. And a lot of people have said, wait a minute, they're the exact same. Look at this. I've seen 90 on my power on both of those movesets. There's more to it than that. As you can see, it's going to be a little bit slower for Psychic in a lot of ways, so that's going to be kind of the main determinant. But regardless of that, let's go ahead and take a look at some results for this. We officially have what I would consider to be the new top 5. We have Mewtwo with that Psystrike in at the number 1 spot. But if you remember from our past simulation, if you end up using the move Psychic on your Mewtwo, it ended up getting a time to win of 100 seconds. And the 3rd position, or the 2nd position, has a time to win of 116, which means Psystrike Mewtwo is number 1. And then Psychic Mewtwo is number 2. That is a win-win situation. Sure, Psychic Mewtwo isn't the best, but it's still better than everything else out there besides itself. That is amazing. Then at the number 2 spot, in this case, we've got a Psychic Alakazam. Oh, this is devastating because Future Sight used to be the best move for the Psychic type Pokemon, unless you, of course, had that Side Strike Mewtwo. So everyone was TMing over to an Alakazam to have Future Sight, an Espeon to have Future Sight. Anything that could have Future Sight, you wanted Future Sight. All of a sudden, Psychic is a legacy move for Alakazam. But if for some reason you managed to have a Psychic Alakazam and did not TM it over, and you've got some super good IVs, guess what? You are the second best Pokemon from that Psychic type attacker. That is just insane. We have another upset Pokemon, and that is Latios. So Latios did not have access to Future Sight, so it pretty much was just out of the running only because of that factor. Well, now all of a sudden, because Psychic got better, Latios is now within the top 3. And for myself, I honestly have not powered up a single Latios just because of its moveset and how it ended up ranking out. I think it was like number 7, number 8 a long time ago. You can go ahead and take a look at some results that I did find, but no one ever considered using Latios. Well, now it's within the top 3. That is a huge buff for Latios, so definitely going to be excited about that. And then for Espeon, this is going to be the best option, I think, for people to just kind of TM over. It has access to Future Sight, it has access to Psychic, so all you're going to have to do is TM. It's not the same situation as Alakazam, where you have Psychic becoming a legacy move, so we will be able to TM over to it, and Espeon's definitely a good budget option. As far as time to win, I mean, it's not that far behind from Latios, so yeah, I'm definitely excited about Espeon. And then finally, you've got like a Zelf. A Zelf just dropped tremendously from that number 2 spot down to the number 6, just because it has access to Future Sight and not Psychic. So that's going to be the one that really dropped the most. And then finally, we're seeing Metagross. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? It's got the move Psychic, so now all of a sudden, it's becoming kind of close. Now in at that number 7 spot. I'm personally not going to do that because I'm dedicating all of mine over to Meteor Mash instead. But this is a big deal. This is a huge deal to have in Pokemon Go. So there you have it. We've got quite a shakeup happening in Pokemon Go. I love the idea that Niantic is going and rebalancing some of these moves, because there really are some Pokemon that just had so much potential, but because of the moveset that they got, they were simply just kind of stuck. I think Latios is a perfect example of that. I'm so excited about this, and I want to know what you think about it. Are you excited about Psychic becoming a better move in Pokemon Go? Are you wanting to use your Psychic Mewtwo's now? Anything and everything that you have in comments relation to this topic, let me know in the comments section below. And if you do enjoy this type of content, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and I will see you next time. If you want to develop a deeper connection, I would highly recommend you to check out Patreon. We've got a lot of really cool things going on over there. Check out all of these supporters that we have. We are almost up to 100. We are also posting some special content, some behind the scenes work. And if that is the type of thing that interests you, I would highly recommend you to check it out.